I've been praying for a good man. Yes, I've been praying for a man that would love me unconditionally, with someone that I could share my life with. And what I ended up with is an 85-year-old disabled Korean War veteran with dementia. Thank you. This is not what it was supposed to look like. I don't think you understood. So please allow me to explain. I began caring for my father who has Alzheimer's. It was a journey, and I have learned that nobody does this alone. Growing up in my household, I was born right here in Lexington, Kentucky, in the East End projects. And in our household, I had a sister who was mentally challenged. She's never been able to speak even to this day. But I knew how to talk to her. I knew how to read her emotions through the way she acts. I knew when she was in pain. I knew when she was hungry. I knew when I was getting on her nerves. I had another sister who had breast cancer. She was a school teacher at Winburn Junior High, where all of us went to junior high school. She reiterated to me the importance of an education. My brother was in the Army, and he went to Desert Storm. And when he returned, he came back with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And then my mother, she was also in the military. My mom used to jump out of airplanes when she was in the Air Force in the Korean War. My mother began her dialysis treatments. And then my dad, who was diagnosed with dementia. He too was in the Korean War. And now I'm caring for him. And I thought, how am I going to do this alone? How am I going to do this all by myself? And then I realized that nobody should have to do this alone. I knew I needed help. So I would reach out to different people. I was calling on neighbors, community activists, anybody that I could find help. So I found this place called A Place for Mom because I was looking for a place for Dad. After my mother died, I had to figure out where I was going to get a place for my dad to live. A Place for Mom helped me find a place for my dad. And I realized that there was a difference between nursing homes, senior living homes, retirement homes. I learned the difference between skilled nursing because they charge you for everything. I figured out, oh my goodness, how am I going to take care of him? He had several different doctors. I had to take him to a urologist. I had to take him to a dentist, an ophthalmologist, a podiatrist. I thought, oh my goodness, wouldn't that be great if I could just get all these doctors under one roof? And then I remembered that my father was a veteran. So I went to the VA, where I met this gentleman in the lobby who was selling DVDs and CDs out of the inside of his jacket pocket, Mr. Dobbs. And Mr. Dobbs came over and said to me, hey, is your father service connected? And I said, what is service connected? And he went and got this helpful little book that was for the benefits of veterans and survivors and the dependents. And within this book, I began to read every page. I began to do research. I'm supposed to be studying for a final exam, but I got to figure out how to take care of my dad. So through that book, I got my father service connected. Getting a veteran service connected, the military adds up each and every one of your ailments. So your ailments get you closer and closer to the 100% that you need to be. For example, my father couldn't see, so that's 10% for his eyes. He couldn't hear, that's another 10% for his hearing. Then his knees got bad, that's another 10%. For his elbows, each and every ailment began to add up. And once a veteran gets 75% or better, they're 100% service connected, meaning that everything is paid for. Because I watched my mother struggle using her Social Security and her retirement just to buy her prescriptions. She had all of her meds, but now she didn't have any food to eat to take her meds with. And I thought nobody should have to go through that. Not alone. We need help. So I began to wonder, what can I do to help? How can I help give back? So when I started thinking about the different people in the community and my brother's PTSD and depression, and I struggled. I had real struggles. My comedy career got put on hold. The 3-year MFA program was now 4 years because I had to care for my dad. And anytime I had to do a paper and I had to do research, I chose to do it on Alzheimer's and dementia. And that's exactly what I did. One thing that I learned in college is that college does not measure your intelligence. It measures your endurance. And I knew as long as I hung in there that I'd be all right, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. So I called on professors daily. I called on family members, just talk to Daddy while I take a walk around the lake. I need a break. I needed help. And my friends and my family did that for me. When I told the people in Hollywood that I'm leaving all the glitz and glamour to go back to Kentucky, they said, "What is wrong with you?" I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. All these life lessons that I have learned, my father was teaching me. My mother was teaching me. My sister was showing me how to be able to communicate with people even though they weren't able to speak for themselves. My father was always teaching lessons, and I didn't know it. I remember one time I cooked a hot dog, and my daddy came in. He said, "It sure does smell good in there. What'd you fix?"
I said, "I made a hot dog, Daddy."
He said, "You made one hot dog?"
I said, "Yeah."
He said, "How many people in this house?"
7,
"How many hot dogs come in a pack?"
8,
"How many hot dogs did you make?"
1,
"How many hot dogs you gonna eat?"
none.
If you ain't made enough for everybody, then you ain't done nothing. I remembered that growing up, that everybody needs to eat. Just like everybody needs health care, right? I'm telling you, in my family, we couldn't afford the Robitussin. We just had Tussin. And that'll fix anything. "Mama, my elbows hurt. Get the Tussin." That's what we got. We would reach out in different forms and fashions. It's not always gonna look the way you think that it should look. Even in our community right here in Lexington, Kentucky, I went from the projects to Winburn Estates. I wanted to show people that there are a lot of good Black men out there in our communities. You know, not every Black man has a record. My father has never been arrested. And my father did not have a record unless it was made by Motown. I know the importance of having a Black man in the family and of having a 2-parent household. Now, I'm not trying to stand up here and pretend like we were the Huxtables, but we wasn't the Evans family neither. We were more like the Jeffersons. And my father said, as long as you continue to get your learning, you can do any cotton picking thing you want to do as long as you stay in school. And that's what I did. I kept going, knowing that if I just hang in there, that I would be all right. Well, lo and behold, I had a former professor contact me. And he said, "You're either going to kiss me or you're going to kick me." And I did both. Because he offered me the role of portraying an Aunt Jemima. I said, "What? I have a master's degree." But then once I really got into the project, through Kentucky Humanities, I became a Chautauqua character. And I portrayed this wonderful woman called Nancy Green, who was born in 1834 in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. She was born as a slave, and she died a rich Negro lady. Nancy Green, AKA Aunt Jemima. And once we began to do the research on her, I saw how her life changed other people's lives. Through the money that she made portraying an Aunt Jemima, she was able to help build churches. She was able to help her Negro brothers and sisters get houses, homes for themselves. She did traveling ministries. And I thought, wow, That's what I want to do. So as I tour this great state of Kentucky, portraying Miss Nancy Green, I get to share my story. And it's so wonderful that I'm able to come back and give back to this wonderful society that I call home. I'd like to close with this one story that changed my life forever. And I hope it'll do the same for you, that you all remember that nobody does it alone. You will always have help. It's the universal law. I've learned that. Let me tell you, my father's dementia made me change religions because I didn't think Jesus could handle this load. I called on Buddha, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah. I went from being a Baptist to being a Buddhist because I needed that. And Nam Myoho Renge Kyo helped me. So I want to share this story with you in hopes that it'll help you understand that nobody does it alone. I was a little girl and I wanted to tell my daddy that I did something all by myself. And he corrected me with his 8th grade education. My father retired a carpenter from the Fayette County School Board. And this is what he taught me.
Daddy, I clean the bathroom all by myself. Can you please give me my allowance?
He said, you clean bathroom all by yourself? Sure enough. You sure you done it all by yourself?
Yes, Daddy, I clean bathroom all by myself, and didn't nobody help me. And they was all outside playing, even though they were supposed to be helping, but they didn't. And I cleaned the bathroom all by myself.
Sure enough. Well, let me ask you something. When you turn on the light, did the light work?
Yes, Daddy.
Of course, Daddy worked. You ain't done nothing by yourself. You understand what Daddy trying to learn you?
Yes, Daddy.
Let me ask you something else. When you turn on the water, did the water come out the spigot?
Yes, Daddy.
Because your mama worked. Your mama paid that water bill. You ain't done nothing by yourself. Yeah. Let me ask you something else. When you went to get the Ajax and the washcloth, was it underneath the sink for you?
Yes, Daddy.
Because your brother worked. I've been learning him how to be a man. He been out there shoveling snow all winter and raking leaves during the summer. You think you done it all by yourself. I know you think you done it all. But can't nobody do nothing by themselves. You understand? Hell, I helped Barack Obama get in the office. My one vote counts. That's what I done. I helped that man get in the office. He didn't get in there by himself. You understand what Daddy trying to learn you? I'm trying to learn you right here in his house before you get out there in that real world and they learn you in a different way. It's folks that been dangling from trees from where they been hung, swinging like strange fruit. There's people that had to sit in the back of the bus so you could sit in the front of the classroom. And you gonna tell me you done it all by yourself, whether you know about it or not. Somebody helped you, because we all need help.
And I never forgot that lesson. I never forgot that lesson. And here I am, praying for a good man. I thought that I was praying for a husband. I was just praying for a good man. And what I ended up with was an 85-year-old, disabled Korean War veteran. And I call him Dad. Thank you. Thank you.